pretty. Come along. I love it. It is Monday, April 7th, and it is a gorgeous 70-degree day here in Zone 5B in the Chicago suburbs / Zone 6A, new as of this year. I am Steph. Welcome to Tiny's Garden. We are going to look at my outdoor plants today. Hold on, I'm out of breath. My little jig got my heart right up with these twins in here. We are going to be checking out my Ranunculus Anemones, see how they're doing in their pre-sprouting process, see how the ones that came back from last year are doing, how the tulips I planted for cut flowers are doing, and then my raised bed mix that I have filled all of my raised beds with for cut flowers. So, come along. So let's start with my Ranunculus and Anemone trays. These trays have been through it this year. I started these on February 11th, putting them in soil, starting the pre-sprouting process, and I put them in the greenhouse, but at that time it was too cold. It was dropping well below freezing. They can't handle that. 27 is about the lowest they could go. And for the pre-sprouting process, you really want it to be more like between 40 and 60, probably at the highest. So I brought them back in. I took them downstairs and put them into my fridge. Here they are, all moved in, which was sitting around 43, I believe. And then I took them back out, again to the greenhouse. And then I brought them back in for the same reason on a grow shelf. They did really poorly on the grow shelf. It's March 12th and I'm checking my Ranunculus and Anemones, and it's looking not good. Very bad, actually. Gratefully, I have one very tiny tray that looks like it's supposed to, so I'm going to show you that first. This is the Ranunculus Super Green Brick, and this is a successful Ranunculus that is pre-sprouted. You can also see some other green shoots coming up. That's fabulous. That's what we want. These that were pre-sprouting just maybe 5 days ago have now died. I just watered these heavily. And I think they were getting too dry because I was lazy and didn't come down to check on them. So we're going to do a last-ditch effort, move all of these out to the cold frame, including the anemones here. Let's actually dig in and see what one of these look like because I haven't checked. They're not molded, but they're not pre-sprouting. So I'm going to take them out to the cold frame. It's just been so hot and cold that I haven't moved them out there, but it's my last ditch effort. Okay, I've officially moved them all out with a large drink of water to the cold frame. My last ditch effort. I found some Pro Mix on the ground, so I topped them off and then watered them again. I honestly think they're too dry, the majority of them, but my last ditch effort here. And these little baggies that you see around are to keep mice away because I have had that problem. So, we'll see. March 12th today. You don't have to follow all that. Basically, it's just been craziness trying to get these to pre-sprout. But lately, I think they're actually coming along. Let's come down and take a closer look. So this little tray right here has done the best for me from the start, and it is from the Flower Hat Ranunculus Super Green Brick. And I have good growth in here. These were left out last night and it rained. So they probably have more moisture right now than they need, but they needed a drink of water, so I'm kind of okay with it. And actually, I'm hoping that I can probably plant these sometime this week. So this one, passing with flying colors, look at all that growth. The rest of them, obviously, are looking less fruitful, but still some green. But when we dig around in there, let's see what we find. So when we dig around in here, I pulled this one out of the soil. You can see that new root growth from underneath. And when we look on top and move some of the dirt away, all those little white sprouts they're pre-sprouting. So it's coming along. Something like this that already has green coming above the soil. If we dig it out, there's going to be more growth. Look at that! Yes! Yes! Oh, I love it. That is what we want. So this one is ready. Really, at this point, I wouldn't hesitate to move all of them. But that is such good news to see. Guys, there have been so many points this season I thought these might be done for with all the craziness in our lives. But man, that makes me happy. This one here also looks good. It's earlier in the process, but it's got some growth on it. And then I do have some that, you know, aren't really doing anything. Some little ones. Oh, but here's another one that is coming along. So I'm happy with this. I will take it 100 times over. Now in this same tray I do have some butterfly ranunculus, which are much bigger and corm size, and you can see that little green gray there is mold. So it's not covered, but that's not great. So I'm actually going to snap these two, or at least try and rub some of it off. And then you've got this one here that is starting to rot a little bit there. So I find the butterfly ranunculus are much more difficult, but I'll keep trying. Then my anemone tray up here, you can see with the rain, you can see some of the heads of them poking up through the soil. But check this out. That is root growth right there. Ding, 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 ding. Oh, I love it. Little bit showing. It's probably so hard to see, but there's a little showing on the end. I checked these a few days ago. There was nothing. So I think it's been good that they've been outside for a few days. Yep, that one has some showing through the soil there. Ooh! And this one has little spikes everywhere. Great news, friends. That bad boy has some on it, all those white duds. So some of those anemones aren't showing any growth yet, but that's okay because there's several more that are showing some little growth and even big growth. So I'm feeling confident in them. That's a good sign. Let's move on to the last tray. Here is the last tray, and I'm seeing good growth over here, and I just moved this soil back, and you can see the little green. I'm not going to take these out, but there's some there, there's some there. So that's a good sign. Even a little one up here. And I bet if we pull this corner back a little bit, yep, you can see some right here too. So I am very happy with that. Here's one that's sticking out. Do you have anything? Yep, a very little bit right there in the corner. So this is great news, my friends. I think mine are going to make it. There's some from this side. Let's move that dirt a little bit. Yep. Poking up there and there. Now I am going to keep my eye on the rain because if it rains again, I'm moving them back into the greenhouse because I don't want them to start molding with this moisture. But it might not look like much, but that's a success story, my friends. Started on February 11th. In and out of a bunch of places, thought they dried out. Wasn't sure I was going to get any. And then here we've got signs of life on April, what's the date? 8th. Now these two beds over here are what I showed you earlier this spring with signs of growth from last year, which usually doesn't happen in my zone. So let me give you an update and show you what they are looking like now. So I do believe I've lost a couple since I last showed you. But this is a ranunculus bed. There's a couple spaces of green, little green over there. And if we lift this up, some green there. And in that corner and right there. So maybe 5 or 6. Oh, this one's trying to peek through here. So I'll take it. I'll for sure take it. But I am going to plant the rest of them that are looking good from the trays in here as soon as possible. Now this anemone bed is my pride and joy of surprise, coming back with a vengeance this year. Take a look. Here we go. Look at the lush growth. And I believe I even missed a bloom. Even if it's not super big, there's still a lot of green. Look at this. There's green everywhere in this bed. Do you see what I see down there? Hold the phone. That is a bloom, my friends. That is a bloom with 2 buds. Holy potato slaw. Look. Oh my gosh. I know I've got all these hormones, but I could cry. Look at those beautiful blooms. Not blooms, but buds. And look at this guy. Where are you coming from? Oh, really, really small stem. But that is a bloom. You've been blooming for a while and I didn't see you. Oh, if that's not hope for spring, what is, right? Turning the page. Oh. That is also a bud. Spent bloom there that we already talked about. Oh, my friends. That makes me so hopeful for a great garden season ahead, even though it's been really hectic for us lately. And maybe it's been hectic for you too. Those little signs of hope are just like so heartwarming, aren't they? Yes! Yes! Oh no, there's an earthworm down there that died. I'm sorry, buddy. Oh, I'm so sorry. Now you can see for these 2 beds, I did put a high tunnel up when it dropped below 27. My husband helped me. We have rebar and PVC pipe. And then this is actual greenhouse plastic. And up here on the ranunculus bed is a frost cloth because that's what I had. But I do think it helped, especially during those unexpected, really deep freeze type of nights. So we did protect it with this, put it up with clamps, and that helped a lot. So in case you're wondering, yes, we did put these up to protect these with really deep freezes, anything below 27 degrees Fahrenheit. Now a quick word about the sponsor of this video, High C Boots. Shh. I ordered the women's ankle deck boot and they were generous enough to send them out for me to try in blue, and they are stunning. Check out that popping color. It does come in more variations of color, but if you're like me, you're in the garden all the time, and a pair of good rain boots is invaluable. These High C boots come with a 100-year lifetime warranty and 100% keep dry and warm guarantee. High C's website is www.hisea.com. For a 15% discount on your order, use my code TINYSGARDEN, capital TINYS, capital GARDEN. Check the video description below for discount links and product details. And if you're wondering, yes, I have gotten them muddy before and I'm getting them muddy again right now. They clean up incredibly well. I actually cleaned what you just saw and they were filthy. So they clean beautifully, which is a big plus. Very durable. Thank you to High C Boots for sponsoring this video. Now let's go look at the tulips. If you've been following my channel, you know my tulip situation this year. They were in the garage until early March, late February, I think, before I actually opened them. And I wasn't sure what I was going to find. Gratefully, I had a decent amount that were still good and not rotten. Planted them as soon as I was able, and we have growth, my friends. They stayed cool enough in the garage. Each bed here and here is coming up beautifully, so huge success story there. I will use these for cut flower bouquets. I have some in the landscape in the front of our property. Those are to look pretty right where they're at. These are going to be used to cut and use as beautiful bouquets. To give you an idea of what this should look like in about a month or two, here are last year's cutting garden tulips. For cut bouquets, ideally I pick them when the bulb head has just cracked open with color. And yes, I pull the bulb out with the stem. I cannot wait to see these bursting open with color. Last year was my first year using tulips as cut flowers out of these raised beds, and man, I'm hooked. Hoping to have many more cut tulip bouquets this year. I'll bring you down here and give you a closer look. Now it is shady over here as you just saw, but you can definitely see that green growth there. There's a bunch of different varieties here. I did have a video that I put up about planting these. I'll link that video as well as the tulip bulb haul video when I wasn't sure what I was going to find in those boxes. But oh, this makes me tremendously happy. Now this bed I actually planted second. Maybe I finished this, I'm losing track of the months, a month and a half ago. And these are even bigger than the bed to the right. But I think the sun hits these in the morning just right. And they are taking off, which is exactly what I want. Now I do think this side over here gets a little more shade, which is why it's a little bit behind. They're clearly smaller over here, but they're still coming up. So I will take it. Now each of these beds were filled with new compost before I planted them, which is why the dirt is higher in these than the Ranunculus Anemones bed, because I haven't added new compost to those yet. But 2 full beds. I believe these beds are 7.5 by 4 feet worth of what's looking like going to be really healthy cut flowers for tulips. Another win, everybody! Another win! We'll take it. Speaking of compost, these raised beds have all been filled with fresh compost. I actually, to be honest, I'm not sure of the composition because we had this hired out this year. Usually we have a truckload come, drop it off in our driveway, and then between my husband and his best friend and me, we fill them up and tackle it as a weekend project. With some of the things that have happened with my pregnancy and everything going on, we invested in having the company who spreads all of our mulch out, which is about 20 yards worth. It's a lot of work on our property. We just paid them extra to go ahead and spread the compost out with their group of 6 guys. It takes them about a day compared to us, which would take 3+ days. So I will say I have found some glass in it, which I'm not particularly loving. Here are some other things I found. Glass, glass, glass. All those little pieces of glass there. This. I don't think that's supposed to be in there. So, to be honest, I'm a little nervous. I hope that it does well for me this year. On the bright side, the tulips are growing in it. That's a plus. But I will bring you down so you can kind of see what it looks like. Now, first off, you can see I did have them put the drip back on. This was installed last year by my water guy, Aloy. The water has not been turned on yet, but all it has to do is be turned on, and then I've got a system I use, the Hunter BTT, for irrigation in these beds, and it works beautifully. Here is an example. This is plastic or something. Like, what is that doing in the compost? Don't love that. Up close, it looks okay. Little clayey, like that is a clump. But we also just got a lot of rain. So I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful it'll work out. There are some weed seeds, because those that are coming up are weeds, but it's not in every bed. That one's pretty clean. When I see those, I just have to come and try and pull them out the best that I can. And then here we have the 6 beds that are in the front. This put on a tremendous show for me with cut flowers last year. I'll show you my favorite view here from last summer. This right here is one of my favorite views of the garden. Love it, love it, love it. But this should turn into something beautiful, I hope. You can see, again, some weed seeds, but I'll just pull them out. And holy Toledo balls, look what I just noticed. Look what I just noticed. You guys, that's an Iceland poppy. This is my Iceland poppy bed. And this came back from last year. I just noticed that just now. Hey, pretty girl, you're looking so good. Oh, that's amazing. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Is that one? I think that one might be too. And I think these as well. So I had some Iceland poppies come back and overwinter too. Well, that's good. I did some fresh ones for this year, sowed them. Not as many as I had last year, but that is really cool. Anybody else have Iceland poppies come back for them? Oh, it's so healthy too. One more place to show you, and this is just turning into a really hopeful spring day, isn't it? Oh, it's very rewarding. Let's look at the Daffs I planted just about a month ago. Look at that border of green. This is in a video as well. I'll link below when I planted these. These were the last bulbs I got in. I decided to outline my cut flower bed, my tiny cut flower bed over here in the corner by the greenhouse with daffodils, because daffodils are the first flowers to come up in the spring. Now I've got a bunch of fancy varieties in here, and when I say fancy, I just mean some that are not your typical yellow and good for cutting. That's what I want to use these daffodils for, is cut flower bouquets, which I've not done before. And it's the first year, so I probably won't get a ton, but there's actually some with heads on it over there. So they might just have 1 or 2 blooms this year, but that's okay because they'll naturalize and there'll be more each year. See these very thin green seedlings everywhere? Here, 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 here. All over here. I planted blue perum 2 years ago, and it reseeded itself with a vengeance last year. I had blue perum coming out of my ears. I couldn't even keep up with it. And it looks like it's coming back again this year with a vengeance, which I'm fine with because blue perum is a great filler flower, and I'm going to be ready for it this year. Well, that was an incredibly hopeful tour of my outside plants. A lot of those things I hadn't noticed until today with you. So I'm feeling very encouraged, very enriched. And this is why we love gardening, right? All these little miracles all around us. The anemones have put on roots, which I didn't see before. The ranunculus are still looking good. Not too much moisture. I think they're gonna be fine, especially with a little warmer day today. They're getting roots on them. Even some that don't have growth above the soil are spreading out underneath, or starting to. Excellent, excellent, excellent. My anemone has a bloom. It's on the soil, but it's still beautiful. And it had a bloom that I missed, a red one I didn't even see. And there's 3 buds. I mean, come on, I have flowers. Happy the tulips are thriving. The Iceland poppy in the front I was not expecting. That I love. And then the daffs coming along great, and spotting the germination of the bupleurum gives me hope that I'm gonna have a lot of filler to work with next year. This year, not next year, this year, hello. And for those of you who are wondering, I had an appointment today. I'm 28 weeks with the twin baby girls, identical girls if you're new here, and everything looks great. Everyone looks healthy. I'm feeling good. Our family members are recovering better now, so I'm hoping to bring you a lot of content in the next 8 weeks until my babies come along, and then I'll do what I can. This has been an incredibly fun video for me to make, and I hope it gives you hope in your garden as well. So we will see you in the next video. Please comment below and let me know how all of your spring things are doing. Your ranunculus, anemones, daffodils, tulips. If you're using tulips and daffs for bouquets, what varieties? Fill me in, I want to hear it all. If you're new here, welcome. I'm glad to have you a part of my channel. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to follow along with all things garden. We'll see you in the next one, everybody. Very happy planting. Bye.